Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of Adventure Ready here at Adelaide RV. And today we're going to be running you through water tanks. We're going to be touching on your drinking water tank, and we're also going to be touching on your grey water tank. Follow me. Okay, so we're over here in front of this brand new Executive. Now this particular caravan has been fitted with two 95 litre water tanks. That is two in quantity, so there is one in front of the axle and there is one behind the axle, and they are 95 litres in capacity, meaning that you can put 95 litres of fresh drinking water into these water tanks. Now what exactly does that service? That will service all of the taps inside of the caravan. It'll also service the washing machine as well as the toilet. So when you press the button on the toilet, as long as you have your little pump switch on the inside, it will flush the toilet as well. Now, if you're at a caravan park and you plugged into what we call mains pressure water, then that will automatically bypass the water tanks, okay? So we don't worry about having the pump switch turned on, and we just use the water that is coming from the taps via mains pressure at your caravan park. But water tanks are designed to be able to, for you to be able to carry water with you and be able to have running water wherever you go. So if you're free camping, if you're down the beach, you want to jump in the shower, flush the toilet, you know, put some water in the sink to do the dishes, that is why we are carrying water. Please keep in mind though, when you are carrying water, it does add to the tear weight, okay? So our tear weight is our dry weight. That is our water tanks empty. The moment we start putting water inside of the tank, that is adding weight, and that water sits inside of our payload, okay? So two 95 litre water tanks. Been a while since I've been in a math class, but I reckon that's about 190 kilograms of additional weight that you're going to be carrying there as well. So always make sure you check the weights, make sure that you can tow it if you are towing your caravan with full water tanks as well. But guys, a few little things we have here that we make up to make life a little bit easier, because we need to fill the water tanks. These couple little attachments I'm going to show you can make your life slightly easier when it comes to filling up your water tanks, because after all, you've got to get the water from a mains tap somewhere via a drinking water hose. Now this is a really important part. I always say to people, fill up your water tanks via a drinking water hose or a food grade hose. That way we don't get that rubberized taste inside of the tank. Also, later on in the video, we're going to be touching on grey water tanks. So stick around to the end of this video and we're going to be touching on grey water tanks, the benefits of a grey water tank, how to flush and clean out your grey water tank using some chemical like we have here as well. But for now, let's jump over the other side and we'll show you how to fill the water tanks. Alrighty guys, so around the driver's side of a van is where you'll find your water fillers. So what you're looking for are these little circular fillers here mounted on the side of the caravan. So again, we take the filler cap out. So we're going to push in and we're just going to rotate back anti-clockwise, and that's going to bring the cap out. Now, depending on your particular van, you may have one tank, you may have two tanks. In this instance, we have two tanks and they both have separate fillers. There are some caravans around that have two tanks with just one filler, and as the water goes through, it evenly distributes and fills both tanks, or it may fill one tank and then overflow into the other. It depends on the plumber that has actually plumbed the van up when they build it from scratch. On all of our Leader, Supreme and Goldstream RV vans, we run two filler points here, so separate filler points. We just find that it fills the tanks much easier and much faster, and there's less chance of getting any air locks in there, which may prevent obviously the speed that we can fill it. So we're going to take our caps out, so we'll do that out of both of them. Again, these are lockable, so you may need to unlock them and then just rotate them anti-clockwise. Now, I have a few attachments here that I showed you earlier. Okay, so these are just a few little handy things as opposed to jamming the hose down inside of the filler. So this one here is something that you can purchase from your caravan accessory suppliers. They're around about $25 to $30 to purchase this. It's got a nice little brass elbow there as well, and the John Guest hose, which is the same hose, the same push-in hose that's used throughout the caravans. So again, this is all food grade. What I like about this is the fact that it has got quite a substantial angle on it, meaning that it can go in and then down. All right, so you can sit there like that. It doesn't need to go in the whole way, but there we go there, and it can sit straight up and down like so. These ones are items that the workshop have just made up, okay? So these are a couple here. They literally just have a shut-off valve and a hose clamp. Okay, so we have a snap-on fitting one end, little shut-off valve. Now the important part of the shut-off valve is there is nothing worse than when the tank is full, it will overflow back out through the filler. So okay, in these water fillers, they have an overflow valve and it comes back out through the filler. So when they're full, you'll start to see the water come back out from the filler, and that's when you need to turn it off. Now by having these little shut-off valves, okay, there's little taps on the end of the fillers, it enables you just to grab it and turn it off and actually shut the water off to it straight away, as opposed to having water running out all over the ground and running back to the tap 100 miles an hour trying to turn it off while there's water spilling all over your campsite. Okay, so I suggest invest in these. Again, if you want to buy the one off the shelf, don't quote me, 25 to 30 bucks. There's about $9 worth of parts here. So again, you can just cut a bit of food grade hose and make one up yourself if you prefer. But I just want to show you a couple of little options that we have there. So again, same deal. That's just going to push straight in, get it down as far as you possibly can. Okay, and then we just have the snap-on fitting there. Now I've brought a roll of hose so you can have a look at the difference with food grade hose. Okay, so the food grade hose is generally either a blue or sometimes it'll come out in white in color. And again, it is designed, you don't get that rubberized taste. As you know, as it states, it is food grade. So this drinking water hose, it is sold inside of the caravan industry. So try and get that as opposed to, you know, a generic garden hose, which is generally your green in color. So we've got one here, which is out of my van, which we keep in this nice little coast-to-coast bag. It rolls it up really, really nice. That's just a little extension piece that we've got there. So we'll plug this into the tap right now. We'll plug this in and we'll just give you an example of filling these particular tanks. All right, so I'm asking the hose a big question there from the tap. So again, we're in the dealership, so it's a little bit harder to obviously demo, but I'm just gonna go back and turn that on. Before I turn it on at the tap, I just wanna make sure that this shut-off valve is off. So again, when we're going across the fitting, it is off. When we're running with the fitting, it is on. So I'm just gonna turn this on gently. Hopefully that doesn't wanna spew out on me because I've run out of length. Okay, so you see there straight away the advantage of being able to get this little fitting here, because now we can just simply just turn this on, all right, and I can feel that water coming straight through in. Again, ideally, if you're straight up and down, that is going to be better. As you can see, I've run out of length on the hose. I don't really want to push the van backwards. But as we're filling up the tanks here, we can feel that water going in through. You want just a nice constant stream. So you'll get the hint straight away. If the tap's turned on too fast or the water pressure's too fast, it may shoot in and just shoot straight back at you. Now, again, common sense prevails. You know that if the tanks are empty and you've only just started filling and the water spewing back out, that it's not full. Okay, it potentially could just be an airlock in there, and the fact that you got the water going in far too fast, it's just shooting it back out. So a nice constant stream going into the water tanks as we go. So we'll just fast forward this process through. Alrighty, so you can see here, just starting to overflow back out. So I just turn that valve back. Again, the advantage of having these little fittings, I don't need to run all the way back to the hose. Okay, I've just obviously cut that out there. I can remove it through. Okay, if I was going to be filling the bottom tank, I can just go straight into the bottom tank and then crank that back over again, okay, and begin to fill the bottom tank. I'm gonna take that out, shut the valve off. I'm just gonna walk back to the tap and turn the tap off. Okay, so I'm back here now, and as you can see, we've only lost a little amount of water out of that particular overflow, and that is all to do with this trusty little shut-off valve. Like I said, there's about $9 worth of parts here. It just makes life so much easier. You're able to get down into the filler deeper, okay, into the actual filler hose, nice and deep. We had a nice constant flow going there. Again, we sped the video up just for the purpose of the video, but that took around about 6 minutes, okay, to fill. And it had probably about maybe would have had close to a quarter of a tank when we started. It took about 6 minutes and that tank was full. And the bottom one was actually very, very close to full. So again, we put that in and it basically comes straight back out again because that tank was full. So that is filling of the water tanks. Now it is important when you do put the caps back on that you do lock them, okay? I've seen some funny things in caravan parks, especially if you upset your neighbours, and we don't want them to be pouring stuff down in your water tank. for a bit of a laugh when someone's had a few too many sherbets in the caravan park. So put the caps back in. Okay, and then obviously grab your key and then just lock them. There's a reason that they're a lockable water filler. Okay, so this particular van I'm demonstrating is 95 litre water tank. So now we have 190 litres of water on board. We're going to jump inside this caravan and we're going to show you what to do next with turning on your pump, because it's one thing getting water into the tanks, but then we also need to draw it back out of the tanks. Okay, so I've just jumped inside of this caravan that we are demonstrating on, and I'm just going to show you how we go about turning the pump on. So the pump runs on 12 volt, okay? So we don't need 240 volt power for it. The idea of the water tanks is for us to be able to get water out when we're free camping, okay? So that is using the power out of our batteries. So we need to turn on our 12 volt master switch, which in this particular van is our top switch here. You'll see all of a sudden we get some lights and bits and pieces coming on. The next switch under here says the word pump. Now that is our 12 volt water pump, okay? So that is a pressurized pump that sits inside of the caravan, which when activated, it will pull water up out of the tank and obviously push it out through any of the taps that you turn on. So we're gonna turn that pump on here now, and then we'll turn around and we'll show you the pressure coming out of the kitchen sink. So we're over here at the kitchen sink now, and we're just going to test the tap here at the kitchen sink and have a look at the pressure that we have coming out of that. So as we can see, we have a nice, good, constant pressure of water coming out. Now that water is getting pulled directly from the water tanks that we just filled up on the outside. So again, if you're using that for cooking or anything like that, or you're drinking this water, it is really important. Again, we go back to that food grade hose and making sure that when we're putting that water in, we're putting the best quality water we possibly can in the tanks, so we get the best quality water out of the tanks. Now I'm just going to demo that again, and then I want you just to listen carefully to this video, and you'll hear the pump continue to pulse for a little bit longer than the water is actually flowing out. Now what that is doing is pressurizing the line. That ensures that there is no delay when you turn that tap on. So all of the lines are now pressurized. Little hot tip, if you hear your pump kicking in and out throughout the course of a night, okay, it may indicate that you have a slight water leak or you're losing pressure somewhere in your caravan. So if you're hearing your pump kick in and out periodically when you're not using any water, generally that indicates that somewhere you have a fitting that is potentially a little bit loose, or a push-in fitting that isn't pushed in the entire way, or you may just have a tiny little pinhole in one of your water pipes underneath your caravan. So just a little hot tip there. If you're hearing that pump pulse in and out, it generally indicates that we're losing pressure. So it could mean that you are losing some water from somewhere. So just turn this tap back on and we'll see when I turn it off. I'm going to stop talking and you'll hear that pump continue to run for another couple of seconds afterwards. So we can see there that pump will continue to run in that case for 3 to 4 seconds after I turn the tap off. And that means the water is pressurized right back up to the top in all of our lines, that the moment I flick one of these taps, it's instant. Alrighty, so just for the purpose of the video, I'm just going to show you it's not just a kitchen sink, it is every single tap or water outlet inside of your caravan will work the exact same way, okay? So in this instance, I've got a little handheld shower head here. We can see the moment we hit that, we got running water coming out of our shower. So we do not need to be plugged into mains water to be able to have a shower. So if you're in one of the caravans that have onboard water tanks with a 12 volt water pump, you can be out in your national parks, you can be down on the beach, you can be free camping, and you can fire this up. As long as you've got 12 volt to run that pump, you'll be able to draw the water out of your tanks and have a nice, beautiful hot shower here whilst you're free camping. Okay, and last but not least, just to finish off the suite of free camping capabilities whenever you have onboard water tanks, also our toilet will flush, okay, from the water tanks, okay? So the water inside of the tank getting pushed up via that 12 volt pump I've been talking about. The new Thetford toilets that come standard in all of our caravans, okay, have a little one-touch button, just like your toilet at home. You just have that one button on the top. But at a toilet at home, okay, obviously you have the system, the water going into that. Inside of this, it is just a water pump, a water pipe going up that's pressurized. And the moment we click that blue button, you'll see, if we zoom you up here nice and close, you'll see the water obviously coming through to potentially flush whatever you're putting down into the toilet cassette. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a bit of an overview of our fresh drinking water tanks, which are fitted up underneath the floor of your caravan to ensure that you can have running water wherever you choose to travel on board at all times. That is our freshwater tanks. The water tanks come in a range of different sizes, all the way from smaller little 60-litre tanks right up even higher than what we've got. We have run 95-litre tanks. I have seen them up into 100 litres as well. So that is all things drinking water. But again, you need somewhere for that water to go. So you just see me running the taps in the shower, you see me running the tap in the kitchen sink. But as that water goes down the drain, that needs somewhere to go inside of your caravan. Now, you have two options. You're either just going to have a simple wastewater outlet, okay, that will require a hose to go down into a drainage point in your caravan park, but that restricts you, okay, and that's where a grey water tank comes into it. So as I said at the start of the video, I was going to be touching on grey water tanks, and this is it. I absolutely love grey water tanks. I think they are so handy, especially as you're traveling around this countryside and you're off free camping on your beach or you're free camping in your national park. You do not need to worry about the water pooling underneath your caravan and ending up with mess everywhere from running water coming out of your drain. A grey water tank, we're going to walk around now and have a look. It will be a 110-litre tank mounted underneath the rear of your caravan, where all the wastewater will filter into there through your shower, through your kitchen sink, okay, and that'll act as a holding tank to ensure that you can get out of the spot that you're in. So when you're down the beach or at the free camping spot, you can get out and then enable you to drain it down a drain correctly and not cover your entire campsite in mud. So let's go and have a look at a 110-litre grey water tank. Okay, so again, I'm over here on the driver's side of your van, and this is where you'll find the outlet for your grey water tank. Okay, so you'll see I have your big PVC fitting here, and again, it's just another big ball valve here that stops that coming. So when the valve is going across the line, it is meaning that the tank is shut, meaning that the water is not going to come out, and the tank is going to capture the water as it goes down the drain. So again, you're going to be having that tap closed when you're wanting to capture the water. When you get to a spot where you can safely empty it out, so a lot of your towns, they'll have like a dedicated drinking water filling station, and wherever you fill the water, generally there is going to be a sewer point to be able to dump water down into as well, so a wastewater point. So you can put your hose onto this nice big fitting, you can run it down into the drain point, and then you can just simply turn that tap on and allow for that to drain through into the designated area. Now, again, I absolutely love grey water tanks on caravans. Our very first van never had one, and whenever we had a bucket out here trying to capture the water that would go down, and again, as we started to put showers in caravans and people started to be inside or underneath the water for longer periods of time, we found that we needed to capture more water. And if we were simply just letting it run out on the ground, or some people used to put a sullage hose and it would go out underneath a tree if they were free camping. Your national parks don't like that, guys, okay? So they don't want you to be running soapy water, you know, oils and all sorts of stuff that's going down your sink. They don't want that running out into nature, going into the little streams and rivers and things like that, okay? So they want you to be capturing your water and taking it out with you. And just for respect of other campers as well, there's nothing worse than pulling up to a beautiful campsite after somebody else has left and it being a complete mud pit. Okay, so if you haven't got a grey water tank, I highly suggest on your next caravan, have one installed or chat to a service centre. We can install them aftermarket if there is enough room in underneath your caravan as well. So a great little addition. We have our drinking water, which we just ran you through earlier, but as that water goes down the drain, it needs somewhere to go and it goes into the grey water tanks. All right, guys, we're back here on the inside just to finish off, and I've been asked to talk about cleaners, and in particular, obviously, tank cleaners. Now, the two products that I have here at the moment that we stock here at Adelaide RV is our Duo tank cleaner. Now, Duo meaning two, multi-purpose. This one will clean our toilet cassette, and it will also clean out the grey water tank as well, okay? This one is obviously a chemical, a little bit harsher. Preferably, this is what I run, okay? This is non-toxic, it's chemical free. My wife is all about that, okay? And we run this inside of our van. All you simply do is you just pour, what does it say here as far as the size of the tank? So 60 mil for tanks less than 100 litres, 120 mil for tanks more than 100 litres. Okay, so our grey water tank is a 110 litre grey water tank in the litre range, or Supreme litre range. So this would be 120 mils. We're going to be measuring out and then pouring straight down the sink. You don't need to go direct into the tank. You can go straight down the sink, flush it down with a little bit of water, okay? Try and fill the tank up, okay? So this is, you might be doing this once every, call it 6 to 12 months, okay? We don't do it all the time. If you start to notice a little bit of a smell coming from your grey water tank, it's a good idea to flush it out, okay? So run the water down through the drains. It ensures that the product here, the cleaner, is also stripping the stuff out from the inside wall of the pipes inside of the caravan, so side of the drains. Before it actually gets to the grey water tank, it will cleanse them and clean them as well. But then I go for a bit of a drive, so fill the tank up. Again, I don't always travel with water full, all right, just with weights. I know there's different opinions on that. That's just me personally. I don't always travel with both tanks full unless we're going really remote. But whenever I need to clean out the tanks, obviously I do, because I want that water to swish around and move around on the inside of the tank so we can get the cleaner to all different areas of the inside surface area of the tank to be able to clean that out. And then all we're going to simply do on the outside is we're just going to crank that handle again and then just run that water through, and then I'll generally run a full tank load of just fresh water through again, just to cleanse the last of it out. And like I said, you don't need to do it all the time. I'm not sure exactly what the stats say as far as how often you should be doing it. For us, we do it like, call it every 6 to 9 months, okay? So we're not doing it all the time. This particular one, if you're putting that amount down, you're gonna get about 16 cleanses. So that little tub here is gonna last you for quite a long time. But again, Thetford have been around a very long time in our industry, and they also have the Duo tank cleaner. But again, it is for periodical use only. It's a little bit harsher. So again, if you've got a heap of smell inside of there, you know, or something's flushed down that shouldn't have flushed down the drain, and you really want to give it a real good hard clean, that's when something like that can come into consideration as well. Now also on your freshwater tanks, okay, so that's where we started in this whole conversation. We started off with our drinking water tanks. You can clean them as well. Okay, so from the outside, when you see me filling through the 2 water fillers, there's some tablets that you can get. There's some product that you can get, which is basically just a fresh tank cleaner. So it's just a form. There's different natural forms, but there's also some ones which is a slight amount of chlorine in there as well. Again, you can fill the tanks up, put a little bit of that in to follow the dosages on there as well. We might pop a couple up across the screen here so you can see. Follow the dosages that are requested there, and then fill the tanks up, go for a bit of a drive around, let it swish around as well, and then again we just want to flush that out. So I've showed you on previous videos where the points are for you to be able to turn the valve and flush the tank out without having to drain it all down through your taps. So again, you can just jump underneath the van, turn that little handle, flush the water out from underneath as well, and that will clean your drinking water tanks. Now that is if you're in a location where you've had to fill the tanks up and you just got a bad batch of water. Okay, so maybe the water was a little bit harsher. I know back in my hometown, I'm from Broken Hill, back in my hometown of Broken Hill, anytime I go home and taste a bit of tap water, it is absolutely foul. I'm sorry for all the Broken Hill fans out there, but it's not nice. The water is just so harsh out there. So if you do happen to be in a town where you get some rough water, just be sure to clean out the tanks and then just flush it out. So there we have it, guys. I really hope this video has been helpful for you guys. One last thing before closing. For us, our water tanks inside of our Leader Expedition are 95 litre water tanks. And there's been myself, my wife Cassie, and my little daughter Stella have been travelling. And on average, out of our 2 95 litre water tanks, having a shower each a day, doing obviously, you know, general cooking and general cleaning with our dishes in through the sink, flushing the toilet a couple of times a day, we will generally get around about 10 days. Okay, so 10 days out of our 2 onboard water tanks. So that is quite a substantial amount of time to be out free camping. And again, for some people, they'll only shower every 2nd day, or they'll be a little bit more conservative where they'll turn the water on and off in the shower to save the water there as well. I know with us, sometimes when we're doing the dishes, we'll leave the water in the bottom of the sink, and then we'll just boil the billy on the stove, top that up with hot water, and then go again if the water's not too bad. So there are lots of different water saving tips that you can research and that you can do. Chatting to other people at campsites as well, everyone's always got a tip for conserving water whilst you're out on the road. But one thing's for sure is that caravans have come a bloody long way when it comes to carting water, pumping water and storing water to ensure that we can keep you out on Australian roads for longer periods of time and not being reliant on capital cities, regional towns, somewhere where you need to plug in for water. So guys, that's it for our video or our episode today at Adventure Ready here at Adelaide RV. We really hope that has been helpful. As always, if there's anything you'd like to add, pop it in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe and follow this page for up-to-date videos. And if there's anything that you want to know about or you would like us to film a video on, please either reach out direct, jump on adelaiderv.com.au, you can send us a direct inquiry, or just pop it in the comment section below. At the end of the day, we love making this content for you so we can keep you out on Australian roads for longer. Stay adventure ready, guys. Until next time, keep on traveling.